Picture this: a humble-looking customer walks into a store, barely catching anyone's attention. The manager sizes them up, dismisses them, and moves on, only to find out later that this unassuming individual holds the power to change their life. What would you do in that situation? Let us know where you're watching from in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Welcome to Motivation for Success, the channel dedicated to sharing life-changing stories that ignite personal growth and transformation. If you're passionate about turning everyday encounters into powerful lessons, make sure you're subscribed and ready to join the conversation. Now, back to our story, featuring none other than Keanu Reeves. In this incredible tale, one manager's quick judgment almost. The bustling metropolis of Ivrim was famed for its gleaming towers, innovative tech hubs, and luxurious shopping districts. Right at the heart of its upscale automotive row stood Novena Autos, a high-end dealership known for showcasing some of the most coveted cars in the world. Perched on a prime corner spot, the building's architecture was sleek, floor-to-ceiling windows mirrored the city lights, and the interior boasted pristine white floors reflecting the polished vehicles on display. Novena Autos was a recent acquisition, though few of its staff knew much about the new owner. Rumors abounded, but official confirmations were scarce. Upper management hinted that the new boss might pay an unannounced visit, but nobody knew exactly when or how. Those rumors hung in the air, adding an extra layer of tension to daily operations. Most employees went about their usual routines of meeting potential buyers, pushing sales quotas, and maintaining the gleam on every shining car. Early one afternoon, a modest sedan, obviously not part of the store's luxury line, eased into the dealership's side parking lot. The driver parked toward the far end, away from the flashy sports cars and SUVs glinting under the midday sun. Out stepped a figure dressed simply, a black t-shirt, well-worn jeans, and a relaxed jacket. To the staff rushing in and out, he looked like any other casual visitor, maybe someone who'd wandered in out of curiosity. That visitor was Keanu Reeves. However, no one recognized him, perhaps because his trademark sunglasses covered much of his face or because no one expected a Hollywood icon to roll up in such an unassuming vehicle. Even if the staff had an inkling of familiarity, it was overshadowed by the immediate assumption, he can't possibly afford one of these cars. Little did they know that Keanu Reeves was not there as a mere celebrity or random customer. He was there as the newly minted owner of Novena Autos. And he wanted to experience the dealership's real culture, without any red carpets rolled out just because of his name. Inside the glittering showroom, a handful of employees stood near a front desk. A few sales associates joked among themselves about an earlier customer who left after balking at the prices. Laughter reverberated in the quiet, high-ceilinged space. The moment Keanu stepped inside, the laughter subsided. He felt a ripple of discomfort as they turned their heads, scanning him from top to bottom. At the center of this group was the dealership manager, Tamsin Gray. In her early 40s, Tamsin had climbed the ranks over 2 decades. Her stiletto heels and tailored blazer projected authority, and the poised clipboard she clutched to her side seemed to proclaim, "I mean business." Tamsin's reputation was that of a strict but effective manager. She did, however, carry a faint undercurrent of impatience for time wasters, those she believed lacked the financial means for luxury vehicles. Keanu offered a polite smile as he walked toward the nearest row of cars. A fleeting expression of disapproval crossed Tamsin's face before she quickly molded it into a superficially polite grin. "Hello," she greeted, stepping forward. "Welcome to Novena Autos. Can I help you with something specific?" Keanu responded, just looking around, might be in the market for something new. Tamsin gave a tight-lipped smile. "Ah, of course. Though, we do specialize in high-end models. The price ranges here start at well over 6 figures. Are you sure this is the kind of dealership you're looking for?" The implication in her tone was more biting than her carefully chosen words. Keanu, refusing to lose his composure, nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. I just want to explore the options." He approached a sleek coupe, admiring the aerodynamic lines along its glossy hood. Tamsin followed, scanning his casual attire again. "Well," she said, "if you'd like to look at something more accessible, I can direct you to a sister dealership nearby. They handle our certified pre-owned inventory." Keanu's eyebrows lifted slightly. "I appreciate your concern, but I believe I'll browse here for now." Undeterred, Tamsin pressed on. "Just a heads up, these vehicles require a substantial down payment. We usually pre-qualify customers to ensure they meet certain financial thresholds. May I ask, are you pre-qualified?" A flicker of amusement crossed Keanu's face, but he quickly masked it. "No," he replied gently, "not yet." To Tamsin, that sealed it. He was a mere looker, not a serious buyer. She clasped the clipboard tighter. "I can have one of our junior sales associates give you a brief overview, but I'm afraid our top-tier consultants might be tied up." A lesser person might have snapped back or walked out right then. But Keanu only offered a mild smile. "Sure, whatever you think is best." Before Tamsin could flag down a junior associate, a younger employee named Arlo called out from across the showroom, "Tamsin, can you come here for a sec? We've got some confusion about tomorrow's deliveries." She nodded, shooting Keanu one more scrutinizing look. "I'll be right back," she said, her tone implying that she didn't expect him to touch anything or stray from the designated path. While Tamsin conferred with her team, Keanu roamed the space. Rows of pristine cars gleamed under overhead lights, the polished floor reflected his every step. He listened to snippets of conversation, sales pitches about horsepower, heated leather seats, advanced safety features. He also overheard employees whispering about the stranger, who clearly didn't fit the usual buyer profile. The staff seemed to be making quick, uniform assumptions: if he looks average, he can't afford this place. Keanu had dealt with starstruck fans and unwavering cynics over the years, but rarely such brazen dismissal. This was precisely the real glimpse he'd come for, raw honesty, however unflattering. Tamsin soon returned, frowning as she noticed Keanu standing near the most expensive model in the showroom, a diamond-white convertible with a turbocharged engine that cost more than many houses. The price tag was enough to make most people gulp. She cleared her throat. "That model is a limited edition. We only have one in stock." Keanu traced his finger over the convertible's side mirror, nodding in admiration. "It's absolutely stunning. I'd love to learn more." Tamsin hesitated, then spoke carefully. "I can get you the specs, but just so you're aware, it has a base price of over $300,000. Once we add the extra features, it can go up significantly." "Understood," Keanu replied, maintaining that calmness that was starting to unnerve her. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Well, let's see. You'd likely need a robust financing plan unless you're planning to pay in cash." A condescending hint laced her words, as though challenging the notion that he could even consider such a purchase. Keanu remained as collected as ever. "Financing can be arranged, I'm sure. Perhaps I should speak with the dealership's owner about some special options." The mention of the dealership owner jolted Tamsin, though she tried to mask her surprise. "The owner?" she echoed. "That might not be an option. Our new owner isn't available for casual walk-in meetings." Unfazed, Keanu's eyes locked on hers. "I've heard otherwise. Could you call them? I'm sure they'd be interested in hearing about a serious potential buyer." Tamsin blinked, slightly flustered. I don't have the authority to just call them up at a moment's notice. Perhaps we can schedule something for another time." A tense silence followed. Nearby sales associates glanced over curiously, sensing that something unusual was happening. With the slightest tilt of his head, Keanu offered a wry smile. "You know what? Let me try calling them myself." He pulled out his phone, scrolling with deliberate calm. Tamsin's eyes darted between Keanu's phone and his inscrutable expression. She had no idea who he could possibly be contacting, but a prickle of unease crawled up her spine. The conversation around them quieted. It was as though the entire showroom held its breath to see what this casual customer would do next. Keanu pressed a contact on his phone, turned away slightly, and spoke in a voice too soft to catch every word. Tamsin couldn't fully make it out, but she picked up phrases like, "I'm here now, yes, please let them know, and thank you." After he ended the call, he tucked his phone away, facing Tamsin once more. "They'll be here soon," he announced, as if it were the most ordinary claim in the world. A chorus of confusion rippled among the staff. Tamsin's eyes flashed with a mixture of doubt and irritation. "Who's coming, exactly?" Keanu shrugged lightly. "Someone from the ownership group," he said. "Let's wait and see." By this point, Tamsin's veneer of politeness began to crack. "Are you playing some sort of joke? We're quite busy, and I can't have you disrupting our operations." Keanu's calm only deepened. "I promise you, no disruption. I'll just hang out until they arrive. It shouldn't be long." Tamsin felt her temper flare, but she forced herself to keep it cool, mindful of the other employees watching her. "Very well," she managed, voice taut. "Wait in the lounge area, please." 15 minutes later, a man in a sharp gray suit appeared at the main entrance. This newcomer carried himself with clear authority. The entire staff seemed to recognize him, or at least sense his importance. He scanned the dealership, found Keanu, and his eyes lit up with a respectful, almost deferential warmth. He walked straight up to Keanu, hand extended. "Mr. Reeves. Good to see you. I'm Benicio Crane, the regional director. I made it as soon as I could." The color drained from Tamsin's face at the mention of Mr. Reeves. She stood rooted to the spot, clipboard trembling in her grip. A hush fell over the nearby staff. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces snapped into place for many of them. Keanu shook Benicio's hand. "Thanks for coming. I appreciate it." Benicio gave a polite nod, then glanced at Tamsin. "I see you've already met our new owner." His eyes flicked to the rest of the staff who had gathered around. "I trust Mr. Reeves has been, well looked after." A deafening silence answered him. Tamsin swallowed hard, her mind whirling. She tried to piece together a quick explanation. I had no idea, Mr. Reeves. I'm so sorry." Her stammering only underscored her panic. Keanu's expression remained kind, though it carried an unmistakable firmness. "It's all right," he said quietly. "We should probably gather everyone so I can introduce myself properly." Benicio nodded, leading him toward a nearby conference room. Tamsin, still pale, hurried after them, no longer concerned about her appearance of unwavering composure. The staff followed in a disorganized wave, whispering questions and speculations among themselves. Some stared at Keanu, wide-eyed, as though they couldn't believe an A-list actor and newly minted dealership owner had just walked in unannounced. The conference room was glass-walled, modern, and typically used for major sales meetings or high-profile negotiations. Today, it served a different purpose, a moment of reckoning. Rows of chairs faced a long wooden table, where Keanu and Benicio stood at the head. Tamsin took a seat at the front, glancing nervously around. She had prided herself on upholding standards of excellence, but now she suspected her attitude might not align with the new owner's values. One by one, the employees settled in: sales associates, finance specialists, receptionists, service managers. Some looked curious, others apprehensive. Everyone sensed that the next few minutes would set the tone for Novena Autos' future under Keanu Reeves' ownership. Keanu surveyed the group, eyes reflecting both empathy and resolve. He offered a small nod, acknowledging everyone's attention. "Good afternoon," he began, voice measured. "I know this is sudden, but I wanted to come by unannounced to see how things run on a typical day. I didn't want special treatment or a choreographed tour. At this, a ripple of shame crossed the faces of certain employees who suspected they had failed the test. Tamsin's gaze dropped to her lap. Before I continue, Keanu added, I want to say, I respect the work you've all done to keep Novena Autos at the forefront of luxury car sales. I'm not here to tear everything down. But I do want to make some changes about how we treat people, both customers and each other. Benicio stood at Keanu's side, arms folded. He stepped in to reiterate, Mr. Reeves wants to elevate the culture here. High standards, yes, but also fairness and dignity. Keanu nodded. I came in dressed casually to see if I'd be judged or dismissed. And I have to say, I noticed some assumptions. Let's talk about that. All eyes flicked to Tamsin, who looked genuinely remorseful. Summoning her courage, she rose from her chair. Mr. Reeves, she began, clearing her throat, I made a terrible oversight. I saw your casual clothes and assumed you weren't serious. I shouldn't have done that. I've been in this business a long time, and I've formed some biases. I apologize. Keanu's stare was steady, not unkind. Thank you, Tamsin. I appreciate the apology. That's the first step. But let's also talk about why these biases exist and how we can move past them. A quiet hush followed his words. Tamsin nodded, tears of embarrassment pricking her eyes, though she kept her composure. I've always tried to protect the dealership's time, ensuring only qualified buyers. But I let that approach turn into prejudice. It won't happen again. Keanu folded his arms, leaning slightly against the table's edge. I understand the need to ensure serious inquiries. However, we can't deny respect to anyone who walks through those doors. We're selling more than cars here. We're selling experience. And part of that is how we treat people, regardless of their appearance or background. He turned to the entire room. We have a reputation for quality, but I believe true quality extends to how you greet a potential buyer in sweatpants as warmly as you greet someone in a three-piece suit. That's the shift I'd like to see. The employees exchanged thoughtful glances. Some nodded, relieved that the new owner's approach was based on fairness rather than micromanagement. Others fidgeted, clearly unsure how these changes would affect day-to-day operations. Benicio stepped forward, his voice resonating with authority. I'm in full agreement. The era of dismissing people based on snap judgments is over. We'll implement new training sessions focusing on customer relations, implicit bias, and respect-driven selling. If you have an issue with this, let us know now. Silence greeted him, none were brave enough, or foolish enough, to object. A few employees even smiled, as if they'd long desired a workplace that emphasized respect over rapid-fire judgments. Keanu watched, measuring the staff's reactions. Great. That means we're all on the same page. I hope you'll be ambassadors of this change, not just participants. Word will spread that Novena Autos stands for kindness as much as for luxury. After the meeting, employees filtered out, some making eye contact with Keanu to offer a quiet thank you or welcome. Tamsin lagged behind, shoulders slumped. She approached Keanu with an apologetic gaze. Mr. Reeves, I just wanted to say again that I'm sorry. For all of it. Keanu glanced at her kindly. I appreciate it, Tamsin. Going forward, I'll be counting on your managerial skills to bring this new culture to life. Can I trust you to make that happen? Yes, she replied instantly, voice trembling with urgency. You can. Benicio, standing nearby, gave Tamsin a reassuring nod. This could be a great chance for you to lead by example. Tamsin drew a deep breath, shoulders relaxing. I understand. In the days that followed, news of Keanu's surprise dealership visit began to circulate through Evrim's gossip channels and online forums. Employees told friends and families about how the movie star-turned-owner had walked in under the radar and witnessed the unvarnished reality. Soon, local talk shows buzzed about the story. Some exclaimed it was a brilliant leadership move, others found it a timely lesson in humility and respect. The name, Keanu Reeves, obviously captured attention, but the underlying moral about not judging by appearances resonated even more. Social media hashtags popped up about #RespectFirst and #Novena Reforms. People praised the approach, calling it a wake-up call for businesses still treating customers differently based on arbitrary standards. Meanwhile, Tamsin threw herself into learning and improvement. No longer the stern gatekeeper, she started greeting customers, whether they wore designer suits or t-shirts, with the same warmth. She made sure her sales team underwent bias training. She asked them to share stories of times they misjudged a person and how it impacted a potential relationship or sale. One afternoon, a young woman named Renata wandered in wearing casual jeans and a paint-stained hoodie, clearly an artist on a tight budget. Rather than dismiss her, Tamsin offered a friendly hello and asked what brought her to Novena Autos. Renata admitted she was daydreaming about the day her work might fetch enough to afford a luxury car. Instead of brushing her off, Tamsin offered a quick tour and encouraged her that dreams can become reality with the right perseverance. When Renata left, she carried not only a dealership brochure but a newfound belief in herself. That might not have been a guaranteed sale, but it was a guaranteed positive impression, a seed planted for the future. Tamsin realized she felt greater satisfaction in offering genuine kindness than she ever had chasing purely high-commission deals. Keanu scheduled recurring all-hands meetings to track changes in the dealership culture. During the first such session, employees shared anecdotes about how they avoided dismissing a casually dressed couple who later turned out to be major business owners. Another staff member recounted how they caught themselves about to make a quick judgment, remembered the training, and chose to remain open-minded, leading to an unexpectedly great conversation. Keanu applauded their growth. These are the kinds of steps that build a brand reputation beyond fancy ads or name-dropping. This fosters real loyalty. Everyone clapped, not out of obligation, but because the environment felt genuinely uplifting. Tamsin's eyes shone with gratitude, realizing she had the chance to be a pivotal force for good in the dealership's transformation. Local newspapers picked up on Novena Autos' culture shift. An article titled, "Hollywood Star Brings Fairness to Luxury Car Market," featured an interview with Benicio, who explained how respect-driven service boosted morale and even improved sales. "People feel they can walk in without fear of being judged," he said. "That means more foot traffic, more conversations, and ultimately more authentic customer relationships." Other dealerships began to take notice. Some launched their own initiatives, adopting friendlier approaches or even secret mystery shopper programs to gauge employee authenticity. The phenomenon extended beyond Evrim's automotive sector. Coffee shops, clothing boutiques, and even real estate agencies started discussing the story of Keanu Reeves and Novena Autos as a model of leadership in action. What underpinned this massive ripple effect was a universal truth: respect is free, but its value is immeasurable. When Tamsin had turned Keanu away based on her snap judgment, she had personified a broader societal flaw: the inclination to label people by their clothes, their car, their accent, or their bank account. By unveiling that flaw so dramatically, Keanu had shown that simply seeing beyond appearances can transform not just one business, but a whole community mindset. In daily briefings, he stressed, "What if that person we dismiss isn't just a potential buyer but someone at the brink of a big breakthrough? Or simply someone who deserves the dignity of being treated well, no matter their status?" These words became a rallying cry among the staff. Every day, they worked to embody a spirit of open-mindedness, making sure no one walked out of Novena Autos feeling judged or marginalized. One morning, Tamsin gathered enough courage to talk privately with Keanu. They met in a small office lined with motivational posters about setting goals and achieving dreams. Closing the door, Tamsin began, "Thank you for not firing me on the spot that day. I feel like I didn't deserve another chance." Keanu waved off her self-reproach. Everyone deserves the opportunity to learn from mistakes. She lowered her gaze. True, but I was so sure of myself. I realize now I was reflecting my own insecurities. If I wasn't wearing the right clothes or didn't look the part, I was afraid I'd be dismissed in life. It's ironic how that turned into me dismissing others. Keanu nodded thoughtfully. Life does that sometimes, our fears manifest in negative ways. But you're turning it around. She smiled, tears threatening her composure. I am. Thank you for leading by example. A few weeks later, the limited edition convertible that Tamsin had once guarded so fiercely found a buyer, an older couple celebrating their retirement. They walked in wearing simple outfits and thick reading glasses. Tamsin at first almost asked them about their budget, but quickly remembered her new training. She greeted them warmly, showed them around, and discovered that they'd sold a business for a major profit. Their dream? To enjoy a top-of-the-line sports car on scenic road trips. Because Tamsin took the time to truly listen instead of prejudging, she secured a sale that made everyone proud. Later, Tamsin would recall that if they'd been treated like second-class citizens, they would have taken their money elsewhere. The deal was more than just a windfall for Novena Autos, it was a testament to the power of respect. Time passed, and Novena Autos established itself as one of Evrim's most customer-friendly luxury dealerships. The story of Keanu Reeves' surprise visit continued to circulate, reinforcing the moral that wealth, status, or even job titles do not define a person's worth. It underscored the lesson that a simple act of kindness or respect can pivot someone's entire life, career, or attitude. Here's the lesson: never judge a book by its cover. People can surprise you in extraordinary ways, and you never know what impact your attitude may have on someone's day, or your own future. A welcoming smile might forge a lifelong partnership. A quick judgment might sever it. The choice is yours. If this story moved you, consider spreading kindness today. Whether you manage a team, greet customers, or just interact with people in your everyday life, look beyond appearances. Offer respect and empathy to everyone, because you never know whose life you might change or who might change yours. And now, before we wrap up, don't forget the biggest takeaway: you have the power to transform your environment by championing a culture of respect. We each hold the key to making someone's experience meaningful or diminishing it. Let's choose the former. Thank you for listening to this inspiring tale. Remember, the next time someone walks through your door, treat them like the most important person in the world, because they might just be. If you found value in today's story, do your part in spreading positivity. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder about the power of respect. And most importantly, subscribe to Motivation for Success to join our growing community of dreamers, doers, and believers. Stay kind, stay open-minded, and remember, sometimes, the greatest opportunities come disguised in the most ordinary moments.